Welcome to our Retreat in a Box program. This is for those who are looking at running retreats, who are considering revamping the retreat process that they already have now that the world is turning back online. There has literally never been a better time to jump into this space. So what I'm going to do is just walk you through this PDF that you have, and I'm also going to share with you my experience having facilitated more than 400 retreats personally. At Alive, we have probably completed around 600 retreats with others running retreats for me. We've served more than 2,500 clients, both in the one-on-one, small group and large group retreat space. We have had in the mental health and addiction space a 98% success rate, which is unheard of in the industry. And you'll find out why throughout this program. And we've never received a negative review. And there are many, many, many reasons why our retreat was so successful, and why I would like to share with you what I have learned in the past 15 years of retreat facilitation using this successful blueprint that I can absolutely guarantee you is literally going to save you hundreds of hours in setup time or refining time or undoing what you've already created that's not working. Literally thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. I have seen retreat facilitators absolutely bleed and hemorrhage cash flow by not using this kind of setup and process. And I have seen many, many retreats, obviously knowing their competitors in every space from yoga, health, surf, addiction, mental health. I have seen retreats come and go over that 15-year time period. Simply because they stepped into the space thinking from the outside that it looked like an amazing, fulfilling, inspiring way to serve your purpose and to inspire and serve others. And it truly is. But I have seen people crash and burn quite severely and hemorrhage a lot of cash flow by not actually realizing what it entails to run a retreat. So the first thing that I want to say is that this program is not really for someone who's looking to just run a couple of retreats a year, because that's not a viable business. This is for those who really are serious about creating a business as a retreat facilitator, because it's actually not viable unless you have a list that you are promoting to, and you can fill those retreats very easily through just your list, through your circle, through word of mouth. Then you don't need this. There will be a lot of information inside the program that is incredibly helpful for you for how to refine those 2 retreats a year. But this is really for those who are serious. And I don't believe that running any less than 6, that's if you're in groups, one-on-one would have to be more like weekly, is a viable business. And I'm going to walk you through why I believe that a little bit later. So let's get started. Let me introduce myself. My name is Heidi Shannon. And in 2009, I jumped into the retreat facilitation space with 0 experience, very passionate with just a great idea. Essentially, prior to that, for 5 years prior to that time, I was on board an entourage whilst I was studying naturopathy, yoga, herbal medicine, acupuncture, meditation, mindfulness, all of these different therapies that I personally used to heal myself from a breakdown. I actually worked on the entourage of one of the wealthiest men in the world, and through working very closely with him and his close friends, I started to notice that regardless of their, cash flow, wealth, having everything done for them, having everything that they could ever possibly want in their life, that just like me, they were on a search for meaning. And they were always heading off to rehabs, okay? Different retreats, spiritual retreats, rehabs, and coming back and repeating the same mistakes in their own lives. They lacked a system for their life. So originally Alive came about to serve that level of client. So I've worked with famous musicians, famous artists, movie stars, sports stars, and that's where Alive first started, was really for the elite who were on that search for meaning, and addiction was a key theme. Mental health issues were a key theme. Lack of purpose and meaning, a key theme. So when we first set out, I basically took what I knew had helped me literally transform my own life and I put that into a retreat process. Now, I wasn't a psychologist, I wasn't a psychiatrist, I wasn't a counselor. So instead, what I did was find and formulate the most outstanding team of people that I could get my hands on, and I simply facilitated the experience. I used my passion for beautiful properties, amazing food, hospitality, my passion for all of the wellness aspects of what I wanted to be in and a part of the training. And I slowly built out a very specific process that very quickly became quite well renowned in those circles, and people started flying without us even advertising from all over the world to attend this program one-on-one in an intensive environment. Then what happened is basically I actually moved the location of that retreat to Bali, kept our Australian retreat running with a brilliant team of operators there. And when we moved out to Bali, we decided that it was time to start running groups. And so we kicked off group retreats, originally just once a month, built them to twice a month, and then actually took on our own venues, and we were running full speed, full time. Now, I'm going to walk you through what exactly to do and what not to do based on that learning experience. I've also facilitated business retreats. I've also facilitated just yoga retreats, like not in the mental health space, just yoga retreats or inspirational retreats, healing retreats. There's lots of different retreats that I've facilitated based on my own network. And still to this day, even though the Alive retreat website has been down now for around 3.5 years, I still run retreats. I'm still referred to, even through COVID, I have still continued to run one-on-one private retreats just based on referrals. So it is the gift that keeps on giving, this industry, if you do what you do very, very well, which is exactly why you're here and exactly why I'm going to walk you through this. So this is what I'd like you to be able to get your hands on. Before I go into what not to do, this is essentially, in a nutshell, what we offer. It truly is the best job in the world. There is no better job than working out of beautiful spaces, creating safe havens for people to be able to extract themselves from their lives and come into this nurturing, healing space. And it looks like all bells and whistles on the outside, but there's actually, you know, it's like the duck that's paddling across the water with retreats. Everything looks seemingly perfect and serene. Underneath, there's a lot of moving parts, and there are a lot of team members, pedaling in the background to be able to provide an experience that is truly life-changing. And it doesn't matter what your niche is, but without losing yourself on the way, okay, in that journey. So we help you get very, very specific about your retreat niche and access the market that already exists, especially now at this point in time with what has happened in the world. People, as the world opens up, or even just locally within your own area, people are looking to escape. They're looking to deal with the very long-term effects of so much fear and the burnout, the anxiety, and the stress that's come with that. So we help you get very, very specific on your niche, okay? So, because I've seen people try and run retreats that are too broad, or they've tried to drill down and be too specific, and it's hard to fill them. So we help you make sure that the market that you want to run to actually already exists. And to be able to do that, if you get on a call with me, I'll be able to tell you within a couple of minutes, just by researching where you are, what you offer, and what's available in the market. And I'll be able to tell you where you're going to sit in that market, how competitive that market is going to be for you or not, and try and find some holes in the market that you hadn't seen already. Then we look at how do we create the ultimate retreat space. This doesn't mean buying your own center. If you are looking into buying your own center, then we help look at those business property development options, if you're developing, or property purchasing options for exactly what will be required for your space. I started out just leasing spaces from others, and so we help you source the perfect venue. I'm a big believer that the venue, it does about 90% of the job. And what might look good on the outside from a venue, we actually get very specific with you with checklists that this is exactly what the venue must be able to do for you. Because you might be dealing with management that from the get-go says, oh yes, we can offer that and deliver that. And then throughout the retreat process, you're spending hours a day putting out fires with venue issues, from issues with the room, from issues with service, from issues with the food, from issues, and it can become painful. Okay, so if you're starting out sourcing your venue from others, then we show you exactly what to look for, how to negotiate the best pricing, and how to set up the ultimate space, because that space really does so much of the work for you, from the entrance, the way they come into the space, and how all the little touches of how to actually bring a space alive and turn it into an incredible experience for your clients. And there's so many little ways that we teach you how to do this, how to create that space and get it for the best possible price that you can. Because if you're not negotiating down, and this includes if you're looking at buying your own retreat center and building your own retreat center, then we help you look at the viability of that venue over time, and essentially with the space, just making sure that you're getting the best possible deal. So the next thing is how to create the most profound retreat experiences and value pack your packages without blowing the budget. So one of the biggest mistakes that retreat facilitators make is that they either leave too much space in their programs and the client is not fulfilled. There's not enough going on in the program, or they try and add too much into the program and it's blowing their budget, and they end up pedaling like that duck the whole time because there's too many moving parts and there's too much going on. So we teach you how to actually create your retreat process, look at what the client is really deeply wanting to experience in that time with you, and how to really add a lot of value into your packages that will not take more time from you. And there's really easy, simple and beautiful ways to do that, that doesn't really need to cost you anything, that will turn their experience from a good experience into an outstanding experience, because they will never forget they will never forget all of those beautiful little touches that you've added that essentially cost you nothing, but also gives you the point of difference in your market. Okay, so when you start to really value stack your packages, it becomes important, because when someone's looking for a retreat, they're actually looking at probably 6 to 10 of them at the same time. I know this from having probably more than 10,000 hours of conversations with clients coming into retreat. They tell me exactly what they were looking at before, and they'd also tell me the experience that they had through the sales experience or inquiring, with other retreat centers. So we listened. Whatever the client would tell me, we would add it immediately, or we would take things out, or we're constantly moving and changing our process from start to finish based on what they were telling us was lacking. So the more you value add and the more you know what's lacking from your competitors, the easier it is for your client to make that decision when they are looking at 6 or 8 venues and they're making phone calls or sending emails over 2 days, and how you actually stand out. What is your uniqueness? How to price and budget for every element of a retreat experience and avoid hidden cost retreats. It is essentially quite a risky business, okay? And I really want to be upfront with that. And what the whole point of this program is to eliminate your risk. So in terms of how you actually price and financially manage this process, especially if you are looking at running a center that is open all of the time, or you are leading up to just running a certain amount of retreats per year, and you have to make sure you have bums on seats. It comes down to very, very careful financial management and making sure that every single element of risk and every single element of which is why we give you our budgets, okay? We give you our budgets, we give you our templates, we give you our projections to make sure that you understand what, how to avoid costly mistakes, essentially. We give you templates for every email, phone call, booking process, client management, team management, retreat operation. I'll get into that later. Legal compliance, something that we're very big on, and one of the reasons that we lasted especially in the mental health space while we saw other retreats come and go. One of my biggest competitors in Australia has been sued 14 times I have never once had a legal issue with a client, not once. And the reason why is because I was anal about the processes from the very first phone call, from the very first email, throughout the booking process, how a client was managed from start to finish and beyond, especially how the team was managed and how that retreat operated so smoothly that there could never be an issue. And I could foresee issues and get ahead of them. So we teach you with your client management and legally, we give you our templates, okay, that have been updated by lawyers over and over and over again, because every time we would have a little snag or an issue with the client, I was like, that now goes in the client agreement. So we give you our client service agreements and all of those types of things to help you avoid stress and very costly mistakes. It doesn't matter what kind of retreat you are operating, you are still dealing with human beings. And human beings looking to attend a retreat are usually stressed. Even if you say that you are a health retreat, no one that is healthy goes to a health retreat. If you're just offering a yoga retreat, no one that is not stressed is heading to a yoga retreat. They already have a yoga process in their life. So regardless of the retreats that you're offering, people that are heading to a retreat are heading to escape, and they're usually heading to escape stress in their life, which means you are dealing most of the time with very stressed individuals. And you're dealing with human beings that all have different tastes and issues. And we have a certain screening process that we teach you so that you just never, ever, ever have an issue with the client. And that has been through a couple of quite painful experiences that I had early on, where it could have gone either way, where it's touch and go with a client. And I got ahead of it very quickly and protected myself legally. And I know other retreat facilitators. I have friends in this space. Another friend in Bali who's one of the most successful yoga retreats here. And we've had conversations about this, and she's a very smooth operator as well. And we are literally the last two standing. We would just watch other retreats come and go because of these issues. How to choose, hire, and manage your retreat team. I'm going to get into that a little bit later because it is the backbone of your program. If you are working with a team, maybe you are just a facilitator with a couple of people or helping you out, or maybe you run most of it yourself. But when I say retreat team, I'm talking about every single person that has anything to do with your retreat. It could be a driver, it could be a chef, it could be wait staff, it could be cleaners. It doesn't matter. I consider all people on my team equal, and they are all trained. From the venue staff to booking staff to, co-facilitators to teachers and wellness professionals, everyone goes through the process that I'm going to teach you about how to train and manage those people so that, again, we don't have any issues with your clients or you're not having to micromanage your team constantly. Retreat facilitation expertise, we go through exactly how to provide an outstanding experience without stress on your behalf, because like I said at the beginning, looks like an amazing, fulfilling job. It most certainly is, but we want to make sure that you can actually facilitate and enjoy. So in the end, like in the beginning of my retreats, I would be awake at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I was probably heading to sleep at 1 a.m. Any of you that have ever run a retreat will be laughing because you know that that's actually what happens. In the end of running my retreats, I worked for 3 hours a day. And that's what I want to teach you, is how to actually set it up now so that the retreat isn't reliant on you being there 24/7 when you have people in your care 24/7. Have a retreat business in a box. So everything that we have is just simply there for you to pull out, to unlock, copy and paste and use it. And I am telling you, this is going to save you hundreds, if not thousands of hours of every little nut and bolt that you need to just automate your retreat business from the get-go. Then we obviously head into marketing and how to actually sell out your retreats. There is no worse feeling than having prepaid a venue, locked in team and staff, and having to run a retreat for 2 people. I've been there. So I would like to share with you how we actually project and how we make sure that that doesn't happen. Now, in terms of actually launching, your marketing funnels, websites, all of those types of things, we'll show you exactly what we did, the marketing funnel that we use that works really well, but it will be unique for each of you. And so we will walk you through exactly how to choose the right marketing funnel for yourself to launch your programs. So retreat in a box, this is the elements. Essentially, we look at the program, the business, and then how to sell, okay? And then in terms of marketing. So we work from that base foundation of designing the ultimate program, the ultimate packages, the best possible team, the best possible venue, knowing your client's needs and wants, to be able to push past your competitors and stand out. Have every process that you're ever going to need from back to front that is going to streamline the business team, client, operations, and just use the exact templates and tools that are done for you that we give you. Maximizing your returns, attract clients, and sell out your retreats with ease so that you can get a return on your investment very quickly. This is a very, very viable business model when done right. When not, like I said before, I have seen it absolutely do damage financially to people's livelihood because they thought it looked easier than it actually is. So first thing we do is we have to look at your market. And like I said, I have seen people try and run retreats be too broad. I've seen them running retreats to the wrong market, a market that was too flooded. So we actually have the first thing that we have to do is make sure that your retreat model is viable, that there is space in the market, whether you're just running an occasional retreat or a center, and avoid kicking off a retreat that was never viable. I've seen it happen over and over. In terms of your people, so we want you working with team members that are not, we don't want you working with team members that are not team players. Now, this might sound ridiculous because I assumed when I first got into the market that wellness professionals, and let's say you are going to have a center where you're hiring wellness professionals, or you're co-facilitating, or you are just bringing in some guest speakers and those types of things. I'm known in the retreat industry to be a very smooth operator. People would want to come and work for me, but they also knew that I was known as one of the smoothest operators in the industry with the team, but they knew there was not even a centimeter to move on my program. If this is how the process was running, and this is how I said the program was running, and this is what the client's needs are, you do not stray from that. You will be surprised how many people, whether you're running this with another person, whether it's a yoga teacher that you bring in, it doesn't matter, whether it's the driver, every single role and responsibility with me and the agreement that they have is to slot into my process, especially wellness professionals. Here's a classic example. You might hire someone who's a yoga teacher, but they might have a side passion in reconnective healing. And so throughout that yoga class, they might start straying and using language and teaching something that is totally and utterly not relevant to your client. Your client is not ready for it. Your client is not interested in it. And it leaves a bad taste in the client's mouth because they thought they were coming to a yoga retreat, and now they have a yoga teacher that is teaching them about something that was completely not relevant to your program and your process, not what you're about. And it's about self-promotion. And I cannot tell you, if I did not keep my finger on this, that how often it happened. And it happens with psychologists, it happened with counselors, it happened with drivers who would then try and sell the client a piece of land in Bali on the way in the car, all of these little things. So I could go on and on and on about team issues until I tighten the reins, and I will teach you exactly what the role, like how to set up the roles and responsibilities, how to have team agreements, how to actually inspire your individuals on your team, from house staff, like house service staff, chefs, whatever it is, to be their unique selves and bring their uniqueness into your program, but that they are actually working a program, and that their own beliefs have to be dropped at the door so that the client is always getting their needs met, okay? And that their ego is taken out of the picture, because especially if you have multiple therapists working together, it's really important that everyone is always staying in their own lane and in their own genius, communicating with each other to be able to give that client the ultimate experience, every client the ultimate experience. So venue, like I said before, we believe that the venue does about 90% of the job. And I have worked in venues that have just nearly killed my reputation, nearly killed the retreat. Where I've worked in a venue where we have had to move venues halfway through. It was that bad because of the things that were missed. From the outside, it looked great until we were there, and the ambience and the vibe was so dense and heavy, and they were so difficult to work with that we actually moved the retreat because the guests were unhappy, we were unhappy, and it wasn't the best. So how you find this venue that's going to work really, I have had some venues that I work with for years and years and years, that I'll always go back to purely because we just gel and work really well together. So we will show you exactly the checklist of what is required in a venue, whether you're building your own, like we did in the end, or whether you are, because you will spend a very large percentage of your retreat income goes into accommodation. And so if this is something that you're looking at doing over time, then definitely at some point investing in the actual property is a very, very smart move. But it's understanding that it's much easier to run a retreat when you turn up and the toilet paper's there and the sheets are washed, and you know, you give the chef the menus that we give you and say, here you go, run. Or whether you know, like as soon as we took on a venue just for a 6-bedroom villa is 14 extra staff that we then have to manage. So this is what we need to talk to you about on a call, is like whatever it is that you're looking at, like how does it work for management, whether you're just working closely with a venue or whether you're actually looking at creating your own venue and what those costs will look like, because obviously I have done property development of my own venues, and I know what it costs, and again, making sure that there are no little hidden surprises in here for you, and your programs are being actually costed properly to ensure your return on investment, which is next. Packages, how you actually package this up so that you are being paid your worth, your team are being paid their worth, and how this becomes an actual viable business, but that you're also positioned in the market to be able to outcompete your competitors and provide a better experience. And there is an art to this. There really is an art to being able to almost undercut your competitors, but provide so much more value. And it comes down to everything that I'm essentially teaching you now, which a lot of has to do with financial management. So not over delivering in your packages and not signing on venues where you know, you're missing out on another venue that maybe didn't look just as good but was going to provide a better experience. So when it comes to financial management, we work with strict budgets, which we give you to be able to track everything. Now, prior to retreats, I actually had a hospitality background where I flipped restaurants for a living. So I was brought in as a consultant for a restaurant, a bar, sometimes small hotels that were going under. And the way that I would turn that restaurant from $2 million going under every year, as in hemorrhaging $2 million, to gaining $2 million in a year, was team and budgets. And by budget, I mean hour by hour by hour, tracking every single expense hour by hour. Now, I'm not going to go into that much detail with you with retreats, but I will bring a lot of that experience from the background in to show you how all of the little details add up, but how you can add so many beautiful little details to your program that actually cost you nothing. Okay, so my job is to make sure that you do not get caught with unforeseen expenses or outside influences that could impact the survival of your retreat. So what you do have to consider with retreats that run on a set day at a set time, you have to consider travel issues. You have to consider a volcano going off. You have to consider a natural disaster. I've dealt with all of these with retreats, and these are things that we have to consider and allow in your budget and pricing. If there are unforeseen experiences, how are you going to recover from that? Do you have a cash flow? This is why the business has to earn money as well as you as the facilitator. So if you are a retreat facilitator, you're going to be doing this mostly on your own. I've seen retreat runners do this where they're only looking to get paid themselves, whereas you have to look at this as a business. You are someone that comes in and gets paid, but the business is getting paid. Okay, so this is something that I did. I earn a very, very good income from retreats, but to replace me would require 6 people. So that is not a viable business. So I'm going to help you actually project a profit so that we don't have costly overruns. You don't have to be there 24/7 a day. You don't have unfilled seats. You know, and you're not having to cancel retreats because you financially, physically can't run them. So when we set your KPIs and your budgets, and we're very, very clear on exactly the viability of this project or business over a year, then we know actually how to price your packages and then attach you to the market, and avoid running retreats essentially that were never ever going to be viable, because I have seen people do it. Templates. So now we're stepping into the actual business section, from booking process, sales scripts, email automation, CRM system, sales. Guys, this part here, when it comes to templates, is where most of the value in this program is. If I was to sell or coach you through all of this separately, you'd be paying thousands of dollars. This here is the business in a box, okay? The templates and processes, I am telling you to just take them out and use the email templates that we have trialed many, many times and know to work. Use the sales processes that we know to work. Use the CRM system, task management, team tracking, project management. Use these systems, because I had a rule with my retreat admin and booking managers. If it didn't happen in the system, it didn't happen. And for that reason, I could see what was happening from a 360-degree view across two centers at all times. Okay, and so if you're obviously doing this on a bigger scale, that's going to matter. But even on a smaller scale, you don't want to be spending time researching the best CRM system to put all your clients' details or fiddling around with them on a spreadsheet. You don't want to spend hours, like to write a team agreement, to refine it, it could take you 4 or 5 days to write that agreement. So all of this that we're giving you, it's hours and hours and hours being tested, being refined, being improved, that we actually just pull out and give to you. So when it comes to processes, we want you to avoid any hidden issues before, during, and after the retreat. So the templates that we give you above, they've been set up as a step-by-step process, which we give you, which our booking managers and retreat managers and facilitators had, to be able to start and end. This is how we run a smooth retreat, from the first point of contact with this client, or even before that on the website, where it's automated, to every part of that client's journey coming in. Nurture, 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 nurture. So they on retreat, wow experience. After retreat, wow experience. This is why we never had negative reviews. Never. And it's because there was a wow experience using a proven process, step by step, for the booking, the team, the facilitator, the manager, the house staff. There is a process for everything. And when you just follow it, plug and play step by step, it's going to eliminate so many day-to-day issues on retreats, because it's great to get them there, but then day-to-day issues can arise, and you want to be able to just have a formatted platform that you can use that says, this is how I run my retreat day to day. And if you're coming in, if anyone's coming in on your team, they get that document. So training. It used to cost me around $40,000 to train a booking manager or retreat facilitator to replace me if I wasn't there. So you don't want to be spending that kind of money training anyone on your team. So we'll teach you how to set up your training, or we'll actually help come in and do it for you. Okay, so we show you exactly what's needed in terms of videos that you can create, pre-done material, to be able to hand anyone that you onboard that says, here's what we're about, here's an agreement, here's a video that explains everything for you, so that you eliminate having to micromanage, okay? And making sure that there's so much a part of the fiber of your philosophy and your process and your program before they even step foot near you to come into the team. And like I said, when I say team, we're talking about everyone on the team. You know, I can ring a chef that I haven't dealt with for 2 years, and that process of exactly what to do is still ingrained. I can pull a one-on-one retreat together in 24 hours because of the training that I've done before with the team and the processes and the templates. I can literally pick up the phone and go, a client's coming in 24 hours, and everyone on that team knows exactly what to do because they were trained. Okay, so it saves you, and you'll keep your retreat team with you. Okay, and I can show you little ways for how to actually nurture your team and work really closely together so that it does become like a family where everyone's on board. Client management, extremely important. I touched on this just before, to be able to make sure that the relationship, the expectations, the boundaries, the legal compliance, and how a client is tightly managed, it depends on the niche that you're in, because, you know, mental health addiction space, obviously clients are in a state where they're coming in stressed. But like I said before, most people that head to retreat are stressed. So you'd be surprised the behavior that you see. And so I teach you how to set up these boundaries with your clients through the agreements, through the way your emails are worded, through words to use and not to use during a booking process, through not delivering promises that you can't keep, and setting up a boundary. And I've seen this with, you know, if a new booking manager ever started, the client would come in and the client was ruling. They were ruling the retreat. They were ruling my team. They were ruling everybody. And it's because the booking manager had over-delivered to them and hadn't set boundaries with them. And they would only ever do it once and never do it again. So it's how to set up. Yes, you want to build an amazing relationship with the people that you are facilitating a retreat for, but you are not there to be whipped by them. Okay. And if you're running group programs, things can get out of hand very, very quickly if you have a couple of people in the group that are there to dominate and cause trouble. So I can now spot a troublemaker way before on the phone, and they don't ever get to my retreat. If another booking manager has let them through the gates, I will teach you this, how to actually rectify that relationship very quickly in the most beautiful, safe, calm, and respectful way for both of you. But I knock those issues on the head. So we talk about client management and how important it is, especially legally, and how everyone on your team needs to be legally covered so that there are just never any legal issues. Team management, being able to just build this outstanding relationship with your team, like I said, so that they know exactly what it is that they're doing. And then facilitating this retreat without burnout, without wearing every single hat. Like I said, if I wanted to sell that business, I needed 6 of me to replace it. That is not smart business. So you have to look at these retreat programs and look at, if you are not there, can they run very efficiently without you? And how do we set up that from the beginning? Okay, because if you've worked as a therapist or in the wellness space and you're seeing a client maybe online or in person for an hour and a half, and at the end of the day, you just get to go to sleep. Well, that doesn't happen when people are in your care. Whether they're just coming in for yoga and meditation or whatever it is, that doesn't happen. So how you can maintain your energy and have a successful business, as well as facilitating these experiences without losing yourself in it. Okay, so we really go into what that's going to look like more specifically for you, how we can set up this dream business, but how we set up a dream life for you at the same time. And then we obviously start to move into selling, how we're going to access these clients so you're not stabbing in the dark with your marketing, how to really craft your messaging and copy, which is what sold all of our retreats, and the SEO that we use behind that, which meant that we didn't need to advertise and we were found very easily. And the word of mouth that came from providing that wow experience. So your words and your copy and your marketing is everything. So no matter what your marketing funnel is going to be, branding definitely matters, but it's pretty easy to brand retreats because it's lots of beautiful pictures and you're selling beautiful experiences. So your words is what's going to differentiate you between another operator. Then we obviously look at one simple funnel. You don't want to be everywhere. You don't want to be on every social platform. You don't want to be running ads in every different million directions. We will look at specifically for you what is the autopilot sales and marketing funnel that is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, and how we actually keep that extremely simple. Obviously, we want to be able to convert sales. This is not just about being on the phone and selling, even though we do walk you through how to coach, not sell. Okay? So we had an extremely high conversion rate. If we got them on the phone, they were coming. Okay? And the reason for that is that we coach clients, we screened them very carefully, and we deterred anyone that the retreat wasn't right for before they even got on the phone. So we knew if they were getting on the phone, if they had sent an email or they had called, we knew that we had already weeded out who we didn't want to be there, and we knew how to attract our ideal clients. So when we talk about converting sales, it's not, the sale happens well before the actual sale on the phone. So we had this down, and I will teach you exactly how to deter those you don't want and attract those that you do want, and make sure that they're very clear if they are getting on that phone with you, that we're pretty sure that they are 90 to 100% already in, because they've been able to gather so much information about your retreat and how everything works before they even made that first phone call. And then how do we actually scale? Okay, so like I want you building a business, not another job, which is why I don't think you will put the same, if you're going to run a couple of retreats a year, you're going to put the same amount of effort into the setup that you would if you were running 20 retreats a year. And I actually had a call with a client about this recently. The way she was doing her retreats, we worked out that she was working across the 2 retreats a year for about $8 an hour with all of the setup and facilitation, like everything that it was taking her to get these people onto 2, she should have been running 20. You know, that was what was going to be viable for her. So we want to make sure that this is a scalable business. Okay, and like I said at the very beginning, if you're just looking to run a couple of retreats, you already have people on your list that would attend a retreat with you. This is not essentially for you. This is for someone who's very serious about being a retreat operator or setting a retreat center. So we offer this training only in a one-on-one capacity. In the future, we may offer the training material out on its own, but at the moment, we only offer this in a one-on-one coaching and consulting capacity, where we can actually keep you accountable. We give you different training material we give you the complete process as we go week by week over 3 months. And we meet once, if not twice a week, to make sure that you're not just learning, that you're actually putting it into practice, and we are actually setting up as you go. Done for you after you've completed the training, or sometimes during that training process, it will be time to start obviously building out your brand. If this is not your expertise, then we have a team that can assist with doing that for you. So ongoing support, once you've actually kicked off and you're running your retreats, we are always here for you to book coaching or consulting sessions with, to help support you to make sure that this is actually a scalable business. So when you get on a call with me, it is not a sales call, because I don't sell, I coach. It is a business coaching and consultancy call, and a personal coaching and consultancy call to look at your model, your ideas, to check the viability, to create a plan, and then look at what launching would look like using our retreat in a box. So next step is to simply jump on a call with me, have a chat, and we can break down exactly what all of this would look like for you. And I will talk to you then. Have a wonderful day.